Cool beans. Let's do it.
All right. One Chimp and Friends here. We got Jake in the house. Jake, how are you, buddy?
Peter. All right. How you doing?
Now. And George. All right. It's what
I fucking told you. Here? I fucking told you. There's no fucking such thing as fucking race. Do you understand? No such thing as race. But I'm 1/4 Hispanic, so remember, I'm the victim here. So you better fuck out of my apartment.
1/4 Hispanic. That is
hey, right. Peter, you're online.
So you're on live, Peter. What's that, a broomstick?
Been doing some brushing up or
yeah, a little cleaning.
Yeah.
Hey, welcome everybody to One Chimp and Friends of the Two Chimps Typing Network, found on Anchor FM and YouTube. Everywhere.
Don't you think it's terrible what Prince Charles said about the baby?
Well, have we agreed that it's Prince Charles or?
Yeah, and I think we should get rid of the monarchy.
Wait a minute. I didn't see that coming. See that coming.
Well, I'm so obviously not a racist that's the only opinion I could possibly have.
Because we were day drinking today, Peter and I seem to remember a different position that you're holding. So that is interesting.
Yeah. Have you seen the lay of the land, Peter? Is that what?
I like my job.
What, do you work for Buckingham Palace? What's going
well,
on?
I don't want to get a Gina Carano from
the Turkish branch of the Buckingham Palace. Yeah.
I don't want to get I don't want to get Disney Plus.
Disney Plus.
You know, I don't want to have the Chinese after me. No, seriously though. Who wants to start with this shit show?
Yeah, it's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah. What's everybody's opinion? Maybe Jake, you'd like to start us off as the Welshman.
Yes, yeah. So I would consider myself a Republican mostly, but I just found it quite distasteful from them, and I was with them all the way up to this point, but I just don't think anyone's ever gone that far to throw their family under the bus as much as they did now, and I just don't feel. I also feel like, why are we talking about this? This is their family business.
Yeah.
Like, why does the world have to know? Do you know what I mean? I really didn't like it. Yeah, I know. I personally didn't like it at all.
So, like, but want to keep family dirt.
It's more about that than anything else. It's just like, why did they do? I still can't get over, like, why did they do this? And then Harry expects to go back now in a couple of weeks and continue royal engagements with his other family members, like nothing happened.
Awkward.
And I think that, I don't know, is he naive, or is he, I don't know, because he's fully convinced that I believe next week there's 2 ceremonies, and one is unveiling I think a statue to honor his mother as well. I think one of them was.
There are two things, there are 2 reasons maybe, Jake. Reason number 1 could be the royal family have genuinely pissed off Harry and Meghan, like Diana style in the 80s. Or Prince Andrew is in some serious shit right now, and this is like a big deflection, and Harry and Meghan are kind of doing like this diversion.
3-dimensional chess.
Yeah, I didn't think about that.
Wow.
I mean, it is bizarre. I'll give it to you that, yeah.
What do you think about it, George?
Well, I mean, the royal family, what a fucking circus it is, so pardon my Swahili. Normally I wouldn't care less, but I don't know, it's nice to see this whole facade of it, coming crumbling down. Maybe in my lifetime, this family, will be abolished. Maybe. I don't know.
I never believed pot would be legal in America.
It certainly sped it up,
There is more talk about Republic. If there's been a higher membership now of Republicanism in Australia.
I'm sorry, George, did you say the 2 reasons? Like, one you said was like the 3D chess, Prince Andrew. But did you say what the other one was? What was it?
The other one was maybe they, the royal family have done another royal family thing and seriously pissed, the bride off, just like with Diana in the 80s,
Oh yeah.
Maybe imagine
yeah,
that,
right.
but you don't give that to the press, so.
It's a big palace, and we can't hear much from those walls. Maybe some weird, horrible shit bullying is going down inside the palace.
And you just walk away. I mean, there's many cases where people have walked away from their families, and you totally get it, you totally understand it.
Absolutely.
But then it's another thing then to throw all your family's dirty laundry in front of the entire world, from like I said earlier, from Beijing to Washington to Tokyo to Nairobi. Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows about this story, and it's all there for people. And it's just, you just walk away from your family and just live your own life. And I was all for that. I was up, it's their choice. I think they should be free.
They got some money from Oprah, though.
Well, that's it. When they started talking about the money, they got quite a bit passionate about it, saying, oh, well, I've had this security all my life, and they took that away from me. They got quite shocked about that and stuff. But it's like, we shouldn't be paying, as British taxpayers, we shouldn't be paying money if they want to leave the royal family. And I think they're a bit hurt about the money situation, I think, to be honest. But they're in a position where they can make more money and get the stuff they want to do. Do you know what I mean? They can do that. So
they can completely whore themselves out now. Watch this space. You never know what's going to happen now.
Jake, when you were asking that question about Harry, it makes me think, I know this isn't very deep thinking, but it makes me think of the story of the prodigal son. Right? So, and the prodigal son returned. And so maybe it's actually a little too soon in the story of Harry and Meghan for the prodigal son to return. But that's what happens, right? They bite the hand that feeds. Yeah. And they decide they can go their own way and figure it out for themselves. And then life beats them around a bit. And then they come back with hat in hand. And so, obviously the story, there's still so many chapters left just by virtue of the fact that Harry and Meghan are so young, and they're obviously going to be family building. Isn't she pregnant again or something?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So there's so much of this story that has yet to be written. It'll be very interesting 20 years from now.
And you see something the royal family, they always put themselves above the fray. They never comment on anything, they're just there and stuff. So I suppose it is kind of shocking for a member of the royal family to go onto a Oprah interview and just be pure 100%
At least
drama.
When Diana did her interview, it was after she got divorced, and she was half separated from that family. I think she still kept her title, but that was about it. That big iconic interview, where she had the black eyeliner on. I'll never be queen. I hope to be queen of people's hearts. That one. But they're still kind of in the royal family, full.
Yes,
ball.
and another interviewer of horny for the destruction of the royal family.
We need to get Meghan Markle and Prince Harry on One Chimp Typing and Friends. That's
that would be very interesting.
Absolutely not.
Considering I would love to have
Yeah.
their box, is over here. They would actually be in two different locations.
We're talking about
She would be in
what's
one
the
room.
We're talking about Dolmans. Wait a minute there, Harry.
So Peter, what's your honest opinion about that?
I'm not telling my honest opinion on YouTube.
Wow.
Mark, what's the American perspective, man?
Well, I kind of was talking about this earlier that, I didn't have a strong familial bond growing up, because my family, we're always quarreling in different directions. So I feel in some ways, because, in some ways I totally understand putting their business in the street like that, because if somebody upsets you enough, blood should not be thicker than water in those circumstances. And I know that like people have strong opinions about that, but I'm not one of those people that has the opinion that I would keep my mouth shut about something if it really upset me. And I'm also Republican in the sense, and you know, as we're talking about this, we're talking about being pro-republic for England, for Wales, for Scotland, for Northern Ireland. Not that I'm a Republican in the American sense of the word. So, so in one sense, like I can't imagine, and I really wouldn't be able to abide living in a kingdom and being a subject. I just like, I can't imagine doing that and having that loyalty. But of course, that's because I grew up in a place that doesn't have that. So I'm not really sure how my opinion.
Well, America is a very special country in human history. It's probably the greatest country that's ever existed. You know, so.
But you know, I
can
have
understand.
a strong opinion about this idea that like they basically live on the dole, the royal family does. And they're Germanic, right? They're not even like English. What, the past, you know, 800 or so years, it's been like a German family. That's
in fact, they've never had an English really royal family, because if it goes back, I mean, if you start from William the Conqueror as French,
1066.
and after that it was the Welsh, the Tudors.
Yeah,
after
the Welsh,
that, the Scottish, and then the Hanovers and the Germans, etc.
Does that mean that you owe reparations to me?
What's that?
Does that mean you owe me reparations for the land my family lost during the plantations? Well, you know, you just said that you were a part of the monarchy, and we lost a lot of land there during the plantation period. A lot of Catholics, good people, lost their land. Tough times, but I'm getting there. I'm slowly getting over it, but a couple $1 million would help me.
Yeah, certainly. Or pounds, maybe.
Or pounds, or sterling. Yeah. Sterling, pretty good. Yeah, George, you too. Like, you smelly white man.
I feel like this was sort of a weird thing that like should have made its way onto the cutting room floor, Oprah's interview, that bit, because it feels like Meghan may have, this is just opinion, of course, it feels like Meghan may have called Harry's loyalty to her, you know, into question when she, in the interview, when it was just her and Oprah, and she said what she said. And then, of course, that forced Oprah to follow up when Harry came and sat down. And I just feel like if Harry really didn't want that to get out there, it wouldn't have gotten out there. I'm certain that Oprah would have respected Harry and Meghan's wishes. And if they really didn't want that topic of discussion to come out into the interview, they simply would have cut it out and it never would have seen the light of day. I'm certain of that. So it's one thing if Meghan put that shit out in the street and then Harry was like, yeah, what the fuck are you doing, girl? And then he'd be like, Oprah, I hope you understand, like, family is everything. And like, we certainly don't want this message to be presented to the world, you know, and for that not to happen and for it to made it all the way through the editing process and the permissions and everything, for that to get out there, that is definitely very revealing.
It is, because it shows for like, because I don't think they gained much from this, and that's what makes me think, is it just kind of vengeance? And yeah, I mean, yeah, but like, but the fit, I probably I believe them. Do you know what I mean? I think
the famine. I just remembered the famine. Sorry, go on.
Just remembered the famine.
We'll talk about the Irish famine now in a bit.
Going through a schedule in his mind of all the
Bloody Sunday.
Bloody Sunday. That was us.
Anyway, Bloody Sunday. Yeah, we go. What was I gonna say?
Sorry.
Peter, man, what have you done?
I'm so sorry.
Oh yeah, so I believe what they're saying actually, because I think the royal family probably would say something like that, but like in a stupid way, like they just don't. They've kind of lived this life of luxury, and they don't really know how to speak properly and stuff.
Yeah,
you
wasn't
know?
that something Piers Morgan was saying in sort of defense? He's like, look, there's a difference between somebody, a buffoon, asking adultish question like that, and somebody asking it with malicious intent, right?
I think, yeah, there's I mean, the racism covers a wide variety of different levels of degree, I suppose, because like I don't think they're Ku Klux Klan racist. They're not like fascist racist. Do you know what I mean? I think they're on the other end of that spectrum where they kind of just a bit ignorant. I think it's more ignorant and stupid, really, like a stupid question, whoever said it, than like, vicious racist people. I don't think they are.
Basically nobody in the royal family in the House of Windsor was alive during like the worst part of the last part of the colonization of different countries under the empire, right? Like basically none of them were alive then, and certainly they would have been children, Elizabeth, for example. So really you can't say they have blood on their hands or even like overt racism on their hands because of like the colonization and empire of all of these different countries. So in that sense,
the Mau Mau uprising in Kenya was pretty racist, I guess
Uganda had its shit as well, like with the in the 70s or 60s, certainly.
52 or something. And then obviously the links with the Nazis, obviously Elizabeth was a teenager then. She probably didn't even know what National Socialism meant.
That wasn't even more the royal, that was more of the King Edward, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That was more of them. And to be fair to the Queen as well, I mean, there was backlash. Like the Queen was quite upset when Thatcher did not support the anti-apartheid movement.
That's true, yes.
In South Africa, because she like Queen Elizabeth quite she likes the Commonwealth.
Yeah.
She does a big role of hers and stuff. So I don't think she's racist at all, to be fair. I really don't.
Pragmatic, but she
has a weird lifestyle. But I don't think
she would clutch her purse though if she found herself on like East 112th Street in downtown Cleveland after midnight. You think she'd maybe clutch her purse and pearls a little bit closer?
Dude, I'd be saying 3 Our Fathers and 12 Hail Marys if I was there. I wouldn't just be clutching my purse. I'd be praying to fucking Jehovah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it really depends. Like, because let's be honest, right? They all have had sheltered lives. So it wouldn't be outside of reason if they were concerned, about this sort of thing. But from a purely intellectual perspective, probably no, not racist. I noticed that Prince Charles made it a point, like the very next day, to do the photo opportunity around some Black folks at some kind of I guess it was an immunization or a vaccination site. And I noticed that Piers Morgan changed his profile picture on Twitter to include a picture of him standing beside a Black guy. So that was like pandering or pathetic.
That's a bit strange.
Yeah.
Well, I actually think that might be trolling. That might be like, high level kind of trolling on Piers Morgan's part.
Could be, yeah.
Where how people will just to take the mickey out of, the people who identify as like him, he, her, whatever like that on Twitter. It's like, I'm with you. I'm putting my, pronouns there. So it could be just kind of like, hey, look, there's a Black person. Obviously, I'm not racist.
I don't think making fun of them for being very well on the Good Morning Show. I thought it was pretty pathetic because I can't understand why he would be so vociferous in defense of opinions held by people with whom he has no personal relationship. But to sit there and say like with such certainty that there's no racism in that family is just uninformed. It made him look like an ignoramus. And I'm glad he's not on that show. But then we find out that he's not on that show because turns out he had a plan to start his own right-wing version of a morning show. And that this was
right. Okay, but look, this is why I would get angry.
That this
George,
was just
George,
a marketing.
Call the president of Ireland racist.
And what's his name?
No, just say the president of Ireland is racist. The
president of Ireland is a racist.
I'm angry about that, and the reason I'm angry about it because you've said it in front of 3 other people, and there's no way for me to prove you wrong.
Yeah, you can't prove a negative, but he's.
I mean, there's no way.
Racist.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, like Piers Morgan, you know, his moral compass. You know, this is a man that hacks dead teenagers, girls' phones, you know, for a story.
Yeah, I thought I thought he's pretty slimy. And then I thought to myself, ooh, maybe he's trying to get an order of it. Maybe he's trying to get knighted out of this. Yeah. Like, not necessarily out of this, but to appear in the consciousness of the family in such a way to be their media defender. Like maybe he's hoping for knighthood down the road. Because
I think he's quite
his own you know, sort of because you know the whole phone hacking thing was like the lowest of the low. Sure, perhaps get a CBE or an OBE or a knighthood. You know, that would sort of rehabilitate me. You know, and I can sleep easy at night. I can go to heaven maybe.
That's right.
You know.
Yeah.
It's madness. You know,
I think he was genuine. I think he just, because a lot of British people, they see the royal family as the identity of the United Kingdom. It's, you know, that, and especially when I think like a lot, when you listen now to a lot of Americans on like talking about it, like, you know, massive celebrities coming up, Oprah and, you know, people on the same show as Meghan was and stuff, like saying, oh, it's disgusting, the royals and stuff. I feel like a lot of British people are being hurt, even though it's not directly at them.
We have to change the name of our country.
Well, it has, yeah, because like I think a lot of Americans now look at us and as Brits and say, "Oh, what a racist country." I think that's true. Whether that's true or not, we got terrible.
Any American that says that would want to like have a serious look at, you know,
right?
Pot calling. I
mean, even if you're looking at like the what?
Pot calling you metal black.
Yeah, basically, and also, you know, the minorities now, speaking as a minority, because I am a minority where I am right now, so fuck ye, I am. We, the minority. It was always like, you know, the black minority, Hispanic minority. Yeah. I'm a minority. I'm a fucking victim. Give me my money. The blacks, the Hispanics, okay, the gays, the lesbians, the whatever, fucking all of them, they were all minorities, okay? And then it was like the whites, Protestant Christian whites, okay? But now the minorities are saying like, oh no, the blacks, the Hispanics, the blah, 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 blah. If you're tan, if you're a little bit dark, if you're completely black, whatever, you're now, it's one fucking group, okay? And it's basically the majority of America is made up of those people because it's an immigrant country, which is what makes it great, you know? And they are doing something that's really strange. They are basically, it's so reminiscent of like anything else that's happened in history, even in England, when they went after the Jews in 12 something. Like, it wasn't, the Germans weren't first, it was some crazy English king, you know, who went after them. And then with the Germans, like even Gina Carano brought it up, and I thought what she said wasn't actually all that bad. I was like, yeah, it does kind of feel like that you're being asked to turn on someone who has like a different opinion to you, you know? It really feels like that. Sharon Osbourne, just for saying that she was friends with Piers Morgan, the lady of color, on the show with her started kind of saying, well, it does kind of feel like that if you are friends with him, you're somehow defending, and he did say something racist, and Sharon Osbourne started like crying, kind of like, I feel like you're about to call me, you know, a racist. So they're using all this terminology and just building this wall around you where you can't get out of it. The only way you can get out of it if you just sit there and kind of go, yeah, my friend who did that interview, I don't agree with his opinions. A normal person would say, but yeah, he's a good guy, he's not a racist. But these days you have to like just throw your friend under the bus to save your career.
We're
in not a nice way to live.
Times. Yeah, you just hit it on the head. Like, we're in really difficult times when it comes to this whole thing, this cancel culture that that goes beyond like whether you say something racist. Like, did you see the story about the Harvard professor who was dismissed from her job because she was overheard, and it was recorded, a conversation that she was having with another professor, and this is Harvard Law School. And so she said that, I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember verbatim what she said, but it was just a couple of sentences. She said, the thing that really gets me angry or worked up or pissed off, I can't remember exactly what she said, is that at the end of each term, it's always my Black students that have the lowest grades, or they perform the least compared to the other students.
Can I just butt in for 1 second?
That makes her upset, because if you think about that intellectually, what that means is that she's upset that it appears that her minority students are underperforming, and that doesn't help this idea that they can perform just as well as anybody else. I think she was saying that she was pissed off that that it happens that they're Black, and that doesn't make it look good, because it paints this picture that somehow they can't perform as well. Well, she lost her job anyway because of that. And they're investigating the other professor because he didn't say anything when she said that. And it's like, should somebody have really lost their job? What if that was a sociology professor, somebody who spends their life in statistics about like race and income and all of this stuff? And what if they said, you know, this interesting anomaly that I'm discovering is that all of my minority students are performing least well compared to my white students, and that doesn't look good. It just doesn't look good. And it pisses me off, because somebody else could see these statistics and make an argument that, well, that's because the Blacks can't perform as well now, can they? And that's what she was saying.
Well, she could, she could be making the argument for injustice, societal injustice.
She can't even go any further than that. Like, she can't say like, well, there's more percentage, like there's more, what's the word? Moms and dads together in a white home than there are the father is absent in a lot of the Black homes. Okay, she can't say that, even though if you did a fucking poll or there's some data on it, it could turn up that could actually be true. I'm saying could.
Dangerous times.
Be true.
A man can say, Joseph Goebbels was good at his job, and people would take that the wrong way.
Yes. And that's the problem that we have now, is that like people are so keen to identify some moral flaw that you have, some character defect that you have, and on the back of identifying that, slam you for everything else. Like, there's this 17-year-old, so there's this 27-year-old woman who became the editor-in-chief of Teen Glamour. And
I've seen this,
colleagues are pissed off that she got the job with relatively little experience and certainly fewer years of service at the company, at the publication. And so they drummed up tweets that she made when she was 17, so 10 years ago, when she was 17 that where she used the word homo and she might have said gay and used them in derogatory ways, right? So on the back of them not wanting her to have that job, being jealous of her having that job, they were able to successfully create a smear campaign. And, you know, of course it failed. It didn't work, right? So she still has the job, and it's an example of like attempting to cancel somebody, but it didn't actually land. It didn't actually.
Yeah, there is a real famous cancel culture, and it is just well, I mean, like we were saying earlier, it's quite depressing since Bernie Sanders and Jeremy Corbyn have gone from the picture now, and the political parties become very, very close in their economic ideologies.
Guess who's still here, mate? The Queen.
Who's that?
The Queen.
The Queen's still there as well, yeah. But it is because we don't talk about, you know, the kind of discourse in public discourse at the moment is not talking about economic injustice and economic disparities. We're talking about, you know, identity issues.
Although good on Biden for that stimulus package, you know, that was
brilliant. No, to be fair, yeah, that was.
I'm gonna give him one, you know. Like,
yeah, no, that was good.
They had to drop the $15 minimum wage from that package, and they had to drop the canceling student debt from that. But you know what's still in the package? The intelligence community has 6 months to reveal all they know about UFOs. That was in the package,
really?
And it's still there. They have 6 months. The countdown has begun. So,
yes, disclosure.
So, you know, this thing about identity politics is it really does keep us from addressing the real issues that our politicians ought to be legislating.
And it goes back to this Meghan and Harry thing. It's like, why are we talking about this even?
But you know what? I mean? Piers Morgan, right? Like, I've always hated the guy, but during the coronavirus, you know,
he was great.
He was brilliant.
He was really good, yeah.
Doing it. So that's a bummer that he can't do that anymore. You know.
Yeah, he really held the government accountable. I don't know if you followed it, guys, but he was hard hitting.
Everybody knew him, and he was like the biggest like face for that on the.
He was brilliant. Truth to power, like, to be fair, he was doing a really good job there. But that's the great thing about Piers Morgan, though, is like, and that's the thing I think a lot of people need to kind of understand these days as well, like especially younger people, I suppose. You can disagree with people, but you don't have to like ban them, or you don't have to like, you know, get them off the air. Because I mean, Piers Morgan, we agree with him on some things. Other things, I don't.
With the
he's really against vegetarianism. He's like, vegan, meat, you know.
Yeah.
But you can agree on him with certain things.
Just pick and choose, you know, like.
Yeah, well, exactly, and that's the great tapestry of life, isn't it? That's the great nuance of life, and I feel like
even the tapestry of a single person. Yeah.
Exactly, that's it, and I feel like we are getting to this horrible place where it's black and white, where you're a racist or you're bigot, and it's like, no, it's much more complicated than that, you know. It's just
you can appreciate Darwin, you know, and his evolution theory without the social Darwinism part, you know, like you know, it's you don't.
Well, I don't think, to be fair, I think it was Herbert Spencer who made the social Darwin. I don't think I may be wrong, but I don't think Charles Darwin did anything about social Darwinism.
Might have had these thoughts, he just maybe not put pen to paper.
Yeah, it was more Herbert.
It would have
Spencer
been nice if Darwin could have kept his hands off the chimpanzees, though, because that was a little creepy.
You're thinking of those cartoons made out of him. Those were made by his enemies. No, Darwin was all right.
Yeah.
But again, like, I mean, let's go to George Washington. We were talking about presidents earlier. Did a great many things, but he was a massive slave owner. He killed loads of Native Americans, you know, he like hung them up, and he was pretty awful. But then it's nuanced, you know. It's
one of the Republican congressmen in the around the January 6th period. One of the Republican congressmen said, you know, I hate to say it, but it's true. He's like, what are we going to do? Impeach George Washington now? And that's actually a very valid discussion, right?
Yeah, it is.
Because this was all about
going to was president today. He'd been absolute maniac.
Yeah, are we going to impeach Washington today? Office, right?
You know, like Jesus Christ, it would be terrible. But
and we certainly, have gotten rid of as many Confederate monuments throughout the country as we can, and renaming the military bases that have been named after Confederate generals and whatnot, leaders at least. So, and I went to high school in a district that had Jefferson Davis High School. In Virginia, we celebrated Lee Jackson Memorial Holiday, so General Lee and Stonewall Jackson, and we did that on the exact same day as Martin Luther King's birthday. So it was crazy. Yeah, it's like powerfully racist in them parts, but they don't acknowledge that they're racist. They just think that they're just celebrating a certain version of American history that existed south of the Mason-Dixon line. And I
don't know the answer, to be honest, because I mean, there's an outside Parliament, there's a statue of Churchill, and people spray painted on that statue racist. And he wasn't a nice person, but he did, he does have a place in British history. We can't just I don't know the answer, because we'd have to get rid of everything.
I think like with Churchill, we shouldn't glorify him, but we should, how can I say, observe his achievements as a huge chapter in our history.
Yeah.
I think
there's also a statue outside the Parliament of Gandhi as well, and Gandhi wasn't 100% a great guy either. Like the British flag there. I mean, Gandhi. What was it? He was in prison, all right, in London.
Our gracious Queen, long live.
Oh, you're Irish, Pierre. We're talking about potato famine earlier.
God save the Queen. Send her victory.
Yeah, we got 3 minutes left. I'm not sure how we want to spend it, but I'm not sure that I want to.
Happy and glorious.
Maybe we can have Peter singing the national
anthem. Yeah, we can just zone out with the
national anthem. You subscribe.
I feel like there's probably a period of time, Jake, where the reputation of a certain person's character is maintained, kind of like how somebody dies and there's that time posthumously where they're recognized glowingly, and then you can sort of be a little more critical. Like, JFK was assassinated, so there was a long period of time where you just didn't broach the subject of him sleeping with Marilyn Monroe and being an adulterer, et cetera, et cetera. But then a certain time passes and it's okay to be critical. Maybe it's okay to, but probably not in our lifetimes in terms of like Winston Churchill and certainly Mahatma Gandhi. I don't see how you can, there's enough time that has passed, but overall, like when you consider the size of India and the message.
Well, here's a question for Peter as well. Then, sorry, they're talking about outside Westminster. There's a statue of Oliver Cromwell. How do you feel about
that? I feel fine.
You feel all right?
Enough time. Do you know why? Do you know why? Do you want to know why?
Go on.
Because I'm not a fucking pussy. I'm not scared of a statue.
But like that's interesting because nobody likes Oliver Cromwell. But,
yeah, I mean even the British don't like him. Yeah, exactly. You're right. No one likes Oliver. You're right, George.
That's an interesting thing. Maybe our future statue should be like this.
But I don't know the answer because Confederate soldiers were
Have you been to Dublin and seen the spire? It's a pencil. That is your future. That is the new art.
Yes.
Is there really a pencil statue in Dublin?
It's basically a fucking pencil. And 1 minute left. Meghan Markle is full of shit. Don't believe a word she says. The royal family is not racist. Long live the Queen. And if it's gone in the morning, you'll miss it when it's gone because history is everything.
Are you triggered?
Yeah, you got to walk off the set.
That's it. That's a wrap. Thanks everybody for coming out.
Best, guys. Thank you.
One Chimp and Friends with my friends Jake and George and Peter. We'll see you guys next week on Anchor FM and YouTube. Thanks everybody, and have a good night.